everybody. So I just wanted to let you know that we're just waiting for quorum, so we're not delayed. We're just waiting for all of our members to be here that are members so we can begin the official portion of the AGM. But before we get started, I just wanted to thank each and every one of you for being here in person, whether you're here in person or whether you're here online. It's not always easy, and I've already talked to some people with tears and laughter and memories, and I'm just really glad that we get to be here in person today. So thank you for being here. And like I said, we're just going to wait a few more minutes until we reach quorum, and then we can begin today's session. And just before we get started, please remember that we are going to have a very special keynote speaker today. So if you have any questions or any comments for our very special speaker who will be coming up here in a little while, please just make sure that you keep track of your questions and feel free to ask Bethany absolutely anything. So just wanted to give everyone a reminder to keep track of your questions as we go along. And hopefully, I'm getting the thumbs up from the team that we've reached quorum, but not quite yet, so unfortunately. Yeah. And I think part of it is that some people believe they're members, but they're not. But you do have to be an official BCSS member to be able to vote and to be able to be a part of the quorum number. So that's what we're just waiting for. There's a lot of people virtually right now on the call, just some of them are not members. So just another reminder to become a member if you're not a member.
And it's free.
And it's free, exactly, John, and it's free. There's absolutely no barriers. And still waiting for the thumbs up before we get started. Should we just get started and then begin the official portion with Jack? Do you think that would be a good? Okay, so why don't we get started, and hopefully a few more people will join us. So for those of you that I haven't met, my name is Phaedra Aldridge, and I'm the CEO of the BC Schizophrenia Society. And I cannot believe it, but I've been with the team almost 5 years, and it's amazing how, thank you. On the one hand, it feels like yesterday, it really does, and we've been able to accomplish a lot, and we still have a lot to accomplish together. So if you're joining us in person, thanks so much for being here. If you're joining us virtually anywhere across the province, thank you so much for being here. And one thing I just want to acknowledge is that we are on, actually I'll continue. I do have speaking notes, and my team knows this, and I'm not the best at following speaking notes, so I promised them today that I would do my best to stick to my notes. So team, this is for you. So if you are a BCSS member, you should have already received your members package. It includes your voting guide and all the instructions that you need. And for those of you that are joining us in person, you would have received your voting package. If you didn't, please talk to a team member. And when it's time to cast your vote, then you just have to raise your card if you're in person, and your card would be obviously yes, no, or you abstain from that particular motion. And please just remember to hold your card up, because we will need to count all of the cards as we're going around. So please just remember to keep it up in the air so we can see your card. And if you are joining us virtually, we are now going to be testing out our voting system on Zoom. We just want to make sure that everyone's familiar with it. So if you are virtually right now, to cast your vote, you just have to click or tap on the option corresponding to that particular choice. And then once you make your selection, you just have to hit the submit button. So just a reminder, as I said earlier, you do have to be a BCSS member to vote. And we're just going to have a couple fun questions right now to get people ready. If you are virtual, this is for you. So test poll number 1. Do you prefer cats or dogs? Cat, dog, or both? We got the thumbs up, good. So if you didn't see the answer, if you didn't see those questions virtually, please let us know in the chat, and we'll try and help you out technically. Test poll number 2, for testing, do you like the rain living in Vancouver? Yes, no, or abstain? Great. Great, okay, now I think we're good with the testing. Thumbs up. I love that thumbs up. That's awesome. You what? People like the rain. Good, that was the, I guess if most people live in the Lower Mainland, right? Okay, now before we call, do we have quorum? I'm really hoping for the thumbs up. Yes, okay, perfect. Okay, so we have quorum, so now we can officially begin, or Jack will be officially beginning. But before we get into the formal portion, a very, very important piece is we have to give our Indigenous acknowledgement. This is a key part, and it's been a huge emphasis of BCSS within the last year. So I just want to acknowledge that here today, we are very grateful to be on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Coast Salish peoples, including the territories of the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish nations. So whether you are in another part of our province, just thank you so much for acknowledging the territory that you happen to be on at this particular time. And during today's annual general meeting, we are going to be recognizing a very special person, Marilyn Donnelly. She is going to be receiving our BCSS Champion Award, and her brother Terry is here, and he's going to be accepting her reward on her behalf. And after the AGM portion, as I said, we have a very special guest. We are going to be taking a 10-minute break, and then we're going to have our keynote speaker joining us. But first, our AGM, and I have the great honor, and I enjoy working with this gentleman day in and day out, and we connect on a lot of different topics. So I have the great honor of introducing you, if you haven't met him yet, Jack Middleton is the president of BCSS. Jack.
Hello everyone, my name is Jack Middleton. As Phaedra mentioned, I'm the president of the BCSS. I've been the president for the last 2 years, and I joined in 2020 as a board member. To everyone in the room and online who I've met before, it's wonderful to see everyone again. If I haven't met you, please come introduce yourself. I'd love to meet you. Thank you very much for joining us today for the AGM. I just want to remind you all about the process for the hybrid AGM for people online and in the room. During the meeting, I will read out a motion and ask for someone to move that motion. If you would like to move a motion, call out your full name. If you're attending the event in person, please type your full name in the Q&A box so when we know that you're moving the motion. For example, I will call out, I, Jack Middleton, move this motion. And Phaedra will then read out the name of the member who is making the motion if it's online. I will then be asking who will second the motion. Similarly, if you would like to second a motion, call out your full name if you're attending the event in person, or type your full name in the Q&A box so that we know you're seconding the motion. For example, I would call out, I, Jack Middleton, second this motion. Phaedra will then read out the name of the member who is seconding the motion if it was written in the chat box. Voting at the AGM is simple. If you're in person, please simply raise your hand, your card, to indicate your choice, yes, no, abstain. Please keep your card raised until all votes have been counted. I'll let you know when that is, when I get a signal from Marcia. And if you're online, simply click or tap the options on the Zoom poll that will appear as a pop-up or as a side panel with your Zoom interface. Please be reminded that only BCSS members are eligible to vote. If you're a non-member joining us virtually, please do not click on the Zoom poll. The poll will disappear when the time is over, and you will be able to continue watching the live stream. Today's event is made possible with the funding from the Otsuka Lundbeck Alliance. We thank them so much for their support for this and other events. So today, let's begin our AGM. It is 12:11, and I now call to order the BCSS 2023-2024 Annual General Meeting. So the first order of business today is the agenda. Who would like to make a motion to adopt the agenda for the 2023-24 BCSS AGM as presented? Not everybody all at once. Renato. Perfect. And a seconder? Nice to see you, Lisa. Okay, and voting will now begin. So all in favor? Keep those cards up. Okay, any opposed? I see 0, I see, yeah. Okay, the motion received, how many? Sorry. The motion received 40 yeses and is carried. Next, we'll be reviewing the 2022-2023 AGM minutes for Saturday, October 21st, 2023. If you have any corrections to those minutes, please raise your hand to let us know or to submit them into the Q&A box now. Phaedra will read them out if there's anything in there. I'll give a moment. Let's wait a moment to see if there's any corrections. Hearing none, who would like to make a motion to approve the BCSS 2022-23 AGM minutes for Saturday, October 21st, as presented?
I, Brenda Sawatsky-Girling.
Perfect. Thank you. And seconded? Thank you, Renato. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion has received 37 yeses, and the motion is carried. For our next item of business, the financial statements for the year ending March 31st, 2024, I turn the floor to our auditor, Eric Elias, from the Tompkins-Wozni Chartered Professional Accountants to make a virtual presentation. Thank you for joining us today.
Hello. Hey, thank you very much. Yeah, my name is Eric Alice. I'm a partner CPA at Tompkins-Wozni, and we audited your March 31st, 2024 financial statements. And that's our job. We're independent auditors. We're not involved in the financial statement presentation, and we're looking out for the risks of material misstatements in your financial statements. So that would be things like the grants. You receive a number of operating grants that allows you to operate throughout the province. So looking at the revenue recognition of the grants, the completeness of your other fundraising and donation revenues, and then looking at your payroll and operating costs and making sure that those are supported. You have about $4 million of assets, so we're verifying those, reconciling your assets, checking the cutoff of your liabilities, and just overall making sure that this is a fair presentation financially of your 2024 fiscal year end. And I am happy to report the audit went very well. Full support from your management team, found the accounts to be in good order. So you will find our auditor's report is on pages 1 and 2 of the financial statements. And in the second paragraph is our summary or opinion, where we are stating As independent auditors from Tompkins Wozni, we feel that these financial statements do present fairly for your March 31st, 2024 fiscal year end in accordance with Canadian accounting standards for not-for-profit organizations. So, unqualified, clean report from us as auditors. Very good job by your management team, led by Phaedra, Sunita, of course, in accounting, Andrew, the rest of the team, and of course, Joanne and the board of directors for their oversight and diligence over the financial reporting process. That was a very smooth process. So that's our auditor's report on pages 1 and 2. And then what also follows, of course, then is the financial statement numbers. And if you do have the financial statements there, you'll find the first page starts with the statement of financial position. That is your balance sheet, where your assets and liabilities were at the end of the day, March 31st, with comparison to last year. So on your balance sheet, you will now see about $4.25 million of assets, mostly in your cash and investments. And then going down the page, on the other side of the balance sheet is your obligations, your liabilities, and that's at $3 million, primarily grants we've received in advance. And that we do receive multi-year grants, and so we receive them up front, and then we slowly draw them down. And actually, you can see that this year, as our assets came down about over $1 million, and also our liabilities. And that's because we just drew down those multi-year grants. And that leaves over at the bottom of the page, 1.2 million net assets as a reserve equity to move forward with. So strong financial position at the end of the year. And that's on the statement of financial position. And then just skipping a couple pages, the other main statement is the statement of operations. So that shows all the revenues and expenses for the year. And I will just state it is very stable. It coming in at about $2.7 million, almost $2.8 million of revenues generated. And that was up about $270,000. The primary increase came from some of your program funding, but really the investment income, because interest rates remained elevated. And so you will see the investment income line has increased over the prior year. So that was the revenues. And then on the expenses coming in, also increased to $2.6 million. And we can see in the very top line of expenses, 75% of our disbursements are concentrated in our human resources, wages and contractors and benefits. Almost $2 million at the very top line of our $2.6 million is wages and benefits. And then we had a surplus at the end of the year of $172,000 that went back into our cash account, and we're carrying it forward into 2025. So that's a quick look at your financial statements, the numbers for 2024, and our unqualified clean auditor's report. If there's any questions or comments, I'd be happy to take those.
Any questions for Eric? Hearing none, thank you so much, Eric. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
And big thank you to Sunita and to Joanne for all of your work on getting us to this point as well. Thank you. Thank you for
Absolutely.
So looking for a motion for the approval of the 2023-2024 BCSS audited financial statement for the year ending March 23rd, 21st. March 31st, 2024. And seconded.
We also have Pauline Crosley. John, we'll get you next, I promise. We have Pauline Crosley.
All right. All in favor?
Next, John.
Okay. Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries with 35 yeses. Next, we'll be appointing the auditor for next year. The motion on the floor is to appoint Tompkins Wozni LLP as the auditor for 2024-2025. Who would like to make that motion? John?
John, is your hand up? John. John Gray.
And seconding? Thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
37.
Perfect. Hearing none, the motion carries with 37 yeses. And now on to the president's report. So thank you all for the what we just went through there. I appreciate it. You all did great. We all did great. I wanted to start out by acknowledging the generosity of the donors to this organization. That includes corporate, stakeholders, and volunteers, all of the people who really put in the time and the work to keep this organization running, and sustain the programs and services to help people throughout BC. I'm deeply, deeply thankful to the staff of this organization in all corners of BC, and the time that they give the organization and families. We really couldn't operate this organization without the extra effort that people put in. There's a lot that goes into running an organization like ours, but I know that our team always goes that extra mile, and from myself and the board, we really thank you. This year, an important initiative to our organization has been the completion of the BCSS strategic plan. After an intensive 2-day session a few years ago, the team that included board members, the foundation, society, and BCSS staff, the strategic plan included 4 pillars that we're implementing every day. That includes strengthening our voice, increasing and diversifying revenue sources, and organizational excellence, as well as advocacy and public policy. And I want to briefly talk about that advocacy and public policy piece. As you know, last week, today, we had an election. We do not have an outcome from that election yet, but our organization, through the strength of our policy committee, through the team over there led by John Gray, has done a lot of really good work to clarify what our positions are in the sense when we go to lobby governments and talk and advocate. And those 3 points were support for treatment, accessibility of treatment across the province, and the involvement of families in care. And being able to simplify what is a very complicated topic into those buckets and talk about this to government allowed us to go out early in February and lobby each party and talk to them about what mattered to us. And throughout the summer, throughout the initial period of the campaign, we were able to see some success in each platform from the Greens, the Conservatives, and the NDP that included elements of this. We're not a partisan organization. We don't endorse parties, but I'm very proud of the fact that we were able to elevate this conversation in the debate. And I was speaking to somebody with one of the parties who was talking about their internal polling. They saw that the number 3 issue in the campaign was mental health in their internal polling. So I know that that's driven by things outside of our organization and in some cases serious tragedies, but I want you all to know that we're making an impact when we talk about these things and why and what we can do about it. And that advocacy role that this organization plays is really, really powerful in shaping that dialogue. So thank you all. BCSS continues to focus on rural and underserved areas and is increasing our efforts and the reach of our service across the province. Through our efforts, we work to support truth and reconciliation and ensure that Indigenous communities through BC have access to culturally appropriate support for severe and persistent mental illness. I'd also like to thank the BCSS Champion Award winner Marilyn Donnelly and her brother Terry Donnelly, who is accepting the award on her behalf. And before I finish, I also want to take a moment to commend the families that BCSS supports and recognize the courage and resilience that they have shown in the face of schizophrenia and serious mental illness, and thank you for being here today with us. This illness is very isolating, it's lonely and frightening, but together families are stronger and the quality of care for people is better because you're here. I'm very proud of the work BCSS does, and for everyone who spends even a moment of your day supporting us, thank you. Because of you, families affected by schizophrenia and other serious mental illness continue to receive great support and education. There's still a lot to do in our fight, but better services and accessible mental illness systems are a critical role that our organization has. I'd like to move on to the approval of the Board of Directors for the 2024-2025 slate. I'll be reading out a number of names here, so I hope I have everyone. David Halakowski, Dr. John Gray, Joanne Learn, Donna Motzer, Don Monsieur, Lena Bortnick, Jack Middleton, Paul Bouchan, Colleen Crosley, Brenda Sawatsky-Gerling, Jasdeep Dhaliwal, Noni Neighbors, Garrett Vandelier, and Jane Gladman. Can I get a motion to approve the slate for the BCSS Board of Directors for 2024-2025 as approved? Okay, perfect. And seconder? Lisa, thank you. All in favor? Perfect. Any opposed? Sorry. 38? 39. The motion carries with 39 yeses. Thank you very much. And I'd like to invite, once we reach the break, everyone who has just been approved by that slate to join me up here so that we can have a brief meeting to designate our executive. And thank you all very much for your time. I'm now going to turn the floor back to Phaedra, our CEO. So thank you all.
Thanks, Jack. And it's so nice to be able to have Jack's input just when it comes to government and all his guidance. And I'm just so grateful for the entire BCSS board. And we had 4 new board members this year. So I just really want to give a huge round of applause to the current board members as well as the new board members stepping in. Thank you. Thank you. And I also have to give a huge shout out to my team. Many of you are in this room right now. As regional managers, as educators, you rock. I couldn't do this without you. Miss Anita, Marcia, Andrew, Vivian, Conan. We even have somebody who left our team and has come back to help us today in the back room there doing our tech support. I think it speaks to the organization. So Conan, thank you for being here. Bonnie Spence, right there in the back in the red. Many of you know her. Hardeep was here earlier. Hardeep is unbelievable. Our team is absolutely amazing. Many of you have been here for decades. If you've been with us for 2 weeks or you've been with us for 2 decades, just thanks for all you do for our families. It means a lot. I also have the great honor, like I said, of working with 2 amazing boards. We have the Society Board, we have the Foundation Board, we have the Policy Committee, which they keep me busy, I tell you, that Policy Committee. And we have a Medical Advisory Committee, which has a number of psychiatrists and researchers in Canada, and some even further that, have ties elsewhere. So I'm so grateful to be able to lean on experts that have the knowledge, whether it be around a particular drug or whether it be a question around a document. It's just so nice to be able to have the support of experts and to be able to have the policy committee led by somebody like Dr. John Gray, who's in this room. He is a huge asset to our organization and incredibly knowledgeable. So a huge round of applause for both boards, our medical advisory committee and our policy committee. So lots of highlights to talk about. One is that we have expanded our youth programming. As we know, our youth are struggling, and it's so important to reach out to our youth and to find ways to remind them that they're not alone. So we have a KIC program for children. We have a TIC program, Teens in Control, for teens, and we've added and expanded to Tweens in Control. So we've expanded our youth programming. A big part of that, like I said, is reminding our youth and our younger generation that they're not alone. It's also recognizing signs, it's recognizing and providing the support for them that have a loved one with a serious mental illness. We're finding a lot of our youth now have parents or guardians that are incarcerated or have taken their life. So it's very important that we as an organization are providing that support for the younger generation that need us. Another big highlight was our website. Our team worked so hard when it came to our website. Wow, there was a lot of hours, a lot of time went into the website. And part of it, it's not just a website, it's a resource. It's a resource for people to go when they need information. At 2 o'clock in the morning when they have nowhere to go. That's what that website is there. So thank you to everybody who put all the work into the website. We also have our new BCSS Youth Brand website as well. So not only did we do one, we did two. So there again, I have to give full credit to the team. We've updated our program called Strengthening Families Together. Strengthening Families Together, for those of you that don't know, and I'm sure some of you have participated in it, is a 6-week program. It's run virtually or in person right across this province. We've also expanded our Strengthening Families Together Indigenous program. So it's working alongside Indigenous populations across this province to be able to ensure that we are working alongside our Indigenous people from everywhere across BC. Another thing that we've done is we've really put a bigger emphasis, and we have a huge campaign around increasing awareness about serious mental illness. As Jack said, we've come a long way, but we have a long way to go when it comes to increasing awareness about what schizophrenia is. And we need to say the word schizophrenia. We need to talk about mental illness. It's an illness. It's not someone's fault that they got this illness. Thank you. And I think the more that we talk about the fact that it's an illness and the fact that the entire family is affected by this illness, that's why we're here today. Whether you're on virtual or whether you're in this room, the entire family is affected by schizophrenia. And I think the more that we can talk about that impact and the more that we can remember that families play a huge role, whether it be decreasing the stigma, whether it be working with the healthcare and the clinicians across the province, whether it be working and loving their loved one with the illness to make sure that they're taking their medication, to be able to go to the clinician and say, my loved one is struggling. That's why we need you. That's why we have families in this room. So please do not stop. We need you in this circle. And BCSS is right here with you, supporting you in that circle of care. So don't ever forget that either. BCSS, we've been around for 42 years. We've been around for a long time, and I hope that we are around and I'm up here. Well, I don't know if I'm going to be here in 42 years. I might look a little different. But we've come a long way, and we have a lot more work to do when it comes to working in this sphere. So thank you for all of the family members in this room, and we are here for you, whether board members, myself as staff, the rest of the team as staff, we are here for you. So if you have ideas, comments, things that we could do, we want to hear from you. Another big thing we've done is increasing education is our podcast. We have a podcast. We're going into our 5th season right now, so please make sure you share the information. Like I said, a website is there for those individuals who need that support at 2 o'clock in the morning. The podcast is also there for people if they're not quite ready to reach out for help or just looking for information. The podcast is a great way to be able to get that information. Another thing we do is our community presentations. It's been a huge focus of ours to get out to this province and to, like I said, increase awareness about schizophrenia and other severe and persistent mental illnesses. And our PEP program, so our partnership program, it consists of an individual with lived experience, a family member, and a BCSS employee. And I think if we can continue to increase our presentations, the more we talk about this illness, the better off we're all going to be. So I am just so grateful for every single one of you, regardless of your role in BCSS. Just thank you for being here. And now we get to turn it over to a very special person who's not able to be here with us, but we are going to turn the microphone over to Terry Donnelly. Terry, I welcome you to the stage. You are going to be speaking on behalf of your sister Marilyn. And Terry, I welcome you to the stage. Thank you.
That's okay. That's fine. I used to be ignored by my family, so I'm used to it. It's okay. Anyways, thank you very much. It's nice to see everybody. It's also nice to be in a room where there are so many open hearts, because that's what it takes. It's one of many things that it takes. So, and just before I get started, I think it's important to mention that I'm just one of Marilyn's handsome brothers. And I'll just put that out there. I know she'd get a chuckle. Anyways, thank you very much. This is really an honor and a privilege for our family. I know my sister Marilyn would be very pleased and she'd be very appreciative. Marilyn Donnelly Duncan was the oldest daughter in a family of 9 children. And that meant she had 7 brothers and 1 sister. And the sister was on the other end, so she couldn't help out. But you can imagine how much responsibility was passed on to Marilyn at a very early age as my mother tried to keep up with 9 children who didn't hear anything until later in their teen years. So that was a difficult thing. But I do like to think my brothers and sister played a big role in helping Marilyn develop an iron will, an unshakable determination, and a total fearlessness when it came to seeing things through to their necessary conclusion. She and I had epic battles over what Halloween costume I might wear on any given Halloween, but she was determined. Now, as it turned out, my oldest brother, Brendan, presented the symptoms of schizophrenia in his late teen years, as is often the case. And on top of that, he had other serious lifelong health issues. Marilyn, from the very beginning, was his unconditional guardian angel for the rest of his life. And then as fate would have it, another brother, Michael, would develop the same schizophrenia conditions, and Marilyn stepped into that fray as well. And as any family in this situation knows, one of the great tragedies is that the one you're trying so hard to help is so resistant to that help. Now, Marilyn simply never gave up. She was a trained registered nurse who was once the head nurse of the renal unit at VGH. Her husband, who predeceased her, was a surgeon at VGH, and Marilyn didn't have any children of her own. But I got to tell you, she was a force to be reckoned with. Given her training and experience, she would go toe-to-toe with medical experts when it came to appropriate, or in her view, inappropriate medications for her 2 brothers. She was always pushing for better outcomes for all those living with this mental illness, whether it was better medications, better housing, better food, better frontline services. And she could talk the talk with all of the medical experts. That was a huge advantage that she had because of her training and her experience. She was also a member of many boards and committees over the years as an advocate, both in the city of Vancouver and Victoria, where she lived for many, many, many years. I got to tell you, it was exhausting. For her dedication, Marilyn was actually awarded the BC Schizophrenia Society Founders Award in 2005, and that was a long time ago. Now, one of my brothers, Michael, who she watched out for, passed away in 2018. My oldest brother, Brendan, who she loved so dearly, passed away in 2020. And Marilyn was at his bedside, always. Sadly, she passed away from cancer in 2022. Now, when settling Marilyn's estate, she made sure to set aside some money for the BC Schizophrenia Society. She knew better than most, there's just never enough support from governments and agencies. That much of this lifelong struggle always seems to fall on the shoulders of family members and volunteers. So she was adamant that in the end, her gift go to frontline services to help directly those living with schizophrenia so they can have a better quality of life. So, in the end, who was Marilyn Donnelly Duncan? Well, I know these two things to be true. It's simple. She was a warrior, and she was our sister. Today, she'd be very pleased. So, thank you. Oh.
Excuse me, Jack, could I just echo those wonderful words? I served with Marilyn on the Victoria BCSS board, and she was everything you said, and she was a wonderful woman. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much, Terry, and thank you, John, for those words as well. I think it really speaks to this organization. I'm relatively new here, but you often see the impact that it's made through people's lives over the last 40 years, and just the kind of people that are involved in this and that are passionate about it. So thank you, Terry, and thank you to Marilyn and her memory as well. I'd like to say that if you're not a BCSS member, you can do so now. If you're online, there will be something coming up in the chat. It's free to become a member. Our board felt that that was really important 2 years ago to increase the accessibility to join this organization. So please join if you're not, and speak to a staff member if you're in the room and you'd like to. Through your membership, you're helping make us stronger as an organization. A strong membership gives us a louder voice on matters of importance to families who have been affected by schizophrenia and other severe persistent mental illnesses. Together, we can build a future with less stigma and a province that provides excellent treatment and services for people affected by schizophrenia and psychosis. So now it's time to close the BCSS AGM for another year. And I want to thank everyone for coming. I'd like to ask for a motion from the floor to adjourn the meeting. Noni? Thank you so much. Seconder?
I vote against it.
Can you? Yeah. Yeah, thank you. All in favor? Okay. Thank you, everyone. Any opposed? Seeing none, we have approved that with 39 yeses. And the BCSS AGM is officially adjourned at 1:48. A huge thank you to the Otsuka-Lundbeck Alliance and to all of you for joining us. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be hearing from Bethany Yeiser, who came all the way from Denver to share her journey with us. Okay. Oh, sorry.
It was in this making notes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So sorry. So sorry. Can I ask the rest of the board to join me up front here, and we'll take care of that. But thank you, everyone. Really appreciate your time.